This ties in very well with what you were just saying. You do something because you feel obligated, and for the most part, you do things. I do a lot for family, mostly, because I really want to. But once in a while, I do it because I feel like I should, and it's not something I really want to do. But then the thought of not doing it makes me feel worse.
You see what you're describing here, in terms of action, really in terms of anything, but let's put it in the realm of action. There are only two things that motivate you to action. One is the negative consequence if you don't act. If I don't go to work, I don't get paid. If I don't get paid, I don't get money. If I don't get money, I don't have stuff. If I don't have stuff, I don't have status, and so on. And then the other is the positive calling that comes from being connected. Almost all action that we see almost all physical beings take, way up, 99% of what 99% of you do comes from that negative prodding. It's the way you have been oriented, you see. And as a result, you get tired when you do it, you don't have fun when you do it, you resent it when you do it, it's not rewarding when you do it, and most of all, not much becomes of it when you do it. In other words, it's very mediocre creation. But when you allow yourself to talk about what you want and why you want it, then you get into a vibrational stance that connects you with your inner being. So rather than being prodded from behind by the negative consequences, you are called from your connection. You find yourself wanting to do it. You find yourself exhilarated about it. You find yourself motivated to do it. We were counseling a woman not long ago who was wanting to drop some pounds. She wanted to weigh a particular amount of pounds and wear a particular size. And we said, and she had tried everything. She had been on one diet after another. She had lost it and gained it and lost it and gained it. She lost an average of 500 pounds a year and gained an average of 500 pounds a year. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Not so different from many. Lose a half pound, gain a half pound. Lose a half pound, gain a half pound. Lose a half pound, lose 5, gain 10. Lose 10, gain 5. Up, down. And so as we talked to her about what she was wanting, and why she wanted it, in the format that we have been offering here, she reached a vibrational stance that felt very comfortable. And then we said to her, now, do you feel any motivation to do anything here? And she said, I'm full of energy. I want to move my body. I would like to walk. I want to be more deliberate about what I eat. In other words, for the first time ever, she was approaching this perspective of what she wanted to do, which was reduce body weight, from a place of feeling good about it, so that she was inspired to the action rather than saying, well, I'd better go to the gym because I haven't been. You're getting the sense of what we are talking about. It's a little difficult to hear this purely because you have a lot of intentions that are integrated. As you said to us, most of what I do is for my family, and I love doing for my family because I love my family. But every now and again, I get myself in a corner where I'm trying to do too much for too many, and then my toes of freedom get stepped on, and then I start feeling resentful. That is really the sum of it, isn't it? And then in that resentful state, I'm not doing anything for my family. In other words, I'm going through the motions of doing, but what I'm really doing for them in terms of the vibration that I'm offering is absolutely counterproductive and outweighing any puny little physical action that I might be offering. And so we would say, here's the rule of thumb. Feel good, and then do all you feel like doing. And if you don't feel good, don't bother. Many years ago, between college semesters, Esther worked at a mental hospital. And one morning when she came to work, there were men, they were patients of this hospital, and they were out on big caterpillars, and they were moving big mountains of dirt. And they moved this one day, as Esther was walking past the yard where they were working, they moved a big pile of dirt from there over to there. And then on the following day, as Esther arrived, she noticed that the dirt was now moved from there over to there. And then on the following day, the dirt was moved from there back to where it was to begin with. And Esther went to the attendant and asked him through the fence, "What are they doing?" For she was not seeing any progress. And he said, "Nothing really, we're just keeping them busy." And Esther got this utterly sick feeling that washed over her, and she said to this man through the fence, "Surely there must be more to life than that for them." And as she was relating this story to us years later, we said, "Esther, we are not wanting to hurt your feelings, but for the most part, that's what we see most of you doing. Just moving your stuff from one place to another." And it is because, for the most part, you are relying on your action for what you get done. In other words, you think that your measure of value and that your way to extract joy from this lifetime has to do with the stuff you do, when the reality of it is the action, the doing part of your experience was never intended to be the way you create. You intended to create through the vibrational forces that you understand. You intended to create by aligning your thought energy with the thought energy of who you are. You intended to create by identifying what you want and focusing in alignment, and you can feel that alignment click in. That's the way you intended to create, and your action is the way you intended to enjoy the deliciousness of what you've created. You see. Your action is for the embracing of what you have created with your mind, not for the physical banging of it out, you see. And so we believe that you're having a little bit of all of that knowing that is mixed in with what you're thinking here. In other words, sometimes the futility that you feel when you are overwhelmed with the physical stuff is about your realizing that the physical moving of stuff around is not what life is about. That life is more than that, you see. If we were standing in your physical shoes, we would take action out of the equation. And dollars too. We'd take dollars out of the equation too. Those two things are your big bugaboos. Because most often when you are negatively focused, it's because you're focused upon lack of money or lack of ability to do enough. It's that pinch of freedom that comes from being overwhelmed because you're relying too much on action to make things happen. A lot of you have noticed that there are people that are highly productive that don't seem all that busy. In other words, they are orchestrating mentally and attracting a lot of people who are willing to fit into their creation, but things just begin to unfold for them in sort of magical ways. And most of you who are very busy with your tongues hanging out resent them. In other words, there is not justice, you say. Here I am working very hard and paying the price and not getting anywhere, and look at that lazy one over there getting rich, and all he's doing is sitting with a smile on his face thinking thoughts. And we say, you begin to align your energies with what you want so that you're not acting, and then sabotaging your own action with your negative thought, and see how productive you can be. Nothing is more exhilarating than to get your action in harmony with your thought and desire. That is the flow that you're talking about. When you have established what you want and why you want it, and then you are inspired to action under that vibrational condition, that is a life of ecstasy. That is a life that flows. That is a life of doors opening everywhere. That is a life of being able to do what you could not have done if you were 10 people before you accomplished that, or 100 people before you accomplished that, or 1,000 people before you accomplished that. It is extraordinary. We're talking about quantum leap stuff here. You have no idea what sort of can of worms you were opening.
No, but it was good because I had some answers. Thank you.
Good. You are hearing us clearly.